Coming up on this episode of Theme Park Newsroom, we have the latest from the construction site as we have updates to the layout of Get Set Go Treetop Adventure in CBeebies Land at Alton Towers, the first details on a potential 2026 attraction for Busch Gardens Williamsburg, and we're going to analyse what we know so far about the Project Pivot development for Thorpe Park Resort. It's Tuesday the 10th of June 2025 and right here on the Chall YouTube channel, welcome back to Theme Park Newsroom. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, welcome to another edition of Theme Park Newsroom, your go-to source for the latest theme park and attraction news worldwide. Now, we've had some pretty big success off the last few videos, loads of newsroom updates, got some shorts coming along which I cannot wait to reveal to you all. Got plenty of different shorts for some unique topics, trying to educate you about the world of theme parks. We've got our visit coming up to Alton Towers on the 23rd of June. I think the plan is to try and do like a full park video, but separate to that, we're going to do like a construction update video and kind of do like a Alton Towers special episode of Theme Park Newsroom. So that's going to be coming on the channel in multiple different ways, alongside different off-ride compilations from all the different attractions, do some stuff around all the different rides, and we've got loads of content ideas coming up from that trip alone. So I'm really looking forward to bringing you everything from that. And obviously stay tuned for a special Theme Park Newsroom update this week, because we've got a special invite to one of our press nights for Halloween this year. I'm going to go through that along with a couple of other Halloween events and a bit of a early Halloween special episode in a bit more detail. So plenty of stuff to come. I cannot wait to reveal all the rest of the plans to you for the future. And this episode is going to be pretty big as well, because we're coming up with details and sharing analysis on the latest about a brand new attraction in America for 2026 potentially, details on what we know so far about one of Thorpe Park's newest developments, and also we're going to start with our first story, and that is from Alton Towers, and this is on the latest construction via Tower Street photos. Shout out to both Will and Tower Street for the pictures, about the latest on the construction site of Get Set Go Treetop Adventure, which, if you didn't know, is being slightly rerouted to make way for Project Sunshine, the brand new kids coaster, rumoured to be themed to Bluey, replacing Postman Pat's Parcel Post, which is already closed and all the signage has been ripped out from that ride. So let's get into the construction details and the latest updates on site from the Get Set Go Treetop Adventure. As you can see in the picture on your screen, new track and support structures have been installed on site at the Get Set Go Treetop Adventure attraction, and the layout has been shortened and will no longer pass through the bug house or by the old windmill. So it's pretty clear there that Get Set Go is set to receive a big change to the layout, a slightly shorter layout overall for the attraction, but it will be a complete and utter change to the skyline and the landscape of the area, because it's going to be a bit of a different CBeebies Land with no Postman Pat, with a new coaster there instead for next year. It's going to be a very intriguing situation. Now, I thought I'd just go into a bit more detail about Get Set Go in terms of the history of the attraction, because this is, you know, a big part of the attraction's history, this change to the layout, because it is a shortened layout, yes, but this is kind of the end of an era of the original layout, which of course was known under a different name in the 90s. So let me give you a bit of a rundown on the history of the attraction. Back in 1996, Alton Towers introduced Squirrel Nutty in the Storybook Land area of the park, a whimsical zone created between the Old Kiddies Kingdom, which is now where Adventureland is, where Spinball Whizzer is, and Old MacDonald's Farmyard, which has been combined now with Storybook Land to become CBeebies Land. Guests boarded acorn-shaped vehicles, originally pedal-powered if you remember, and embarked on a gentle trek through purpose-built whimsical trees and over ponds and farmyard scenery. The vehicles cruised above the foliage, dipping and turning as they passed over Old MacDonald's tractor ride and traversed a tunnel of tree arches before returning to the race station. As we've spoken about, initially the acorns featured working pedals to control the speed of your own experience, but these were later removed. But despite this change, the ride maintained its leisurely charm. For 17 years, Squirrel Nutty was a beloved staple of Alton Towers resort entertainment, delighting families until it closed at the end of 2013, ready for its transformation due to the new CBeebies Land area for May 2014. And when the CBeebies licensing took over both Storybook Land and Old McDonald's Farmyard for 2014, that's when the biggest change to the ride happened. It was rethemed into Get Set Go Treetop Adventure, and although the ride system remained largely unchanged at the time, the theming shifted dramatically to the world of the Bug Bees, those colourful yellow bugs designed to embark fun on the guests in CBeebies Land. Acorn cars were replaced with colourful treehouse-style pods, and the squirrels were swapped for those playful bug bees dotted around the ride. Riders now glide gently through an aerial tour above CBeebies Land, passing the CBeebies house, encouraged to wake the bugs.
Wake up, bugs! Wake up!
Floating over the Sensory Garden and seeing familiar landmarks like the former Postman Pat's Parcel Post. So in terms of the original Squirrel Nutty attraction and the original layout of the ride, this is the end of an era, because this is going to be a shorter layout to the original ride. It's not going to pass through that famous tunnel anymore. It's not going to be around that section anymore. It's going to be rerouted because of the new kids coaster. And I can imagine when you're on Get Set Go in 2026, you're going to see parts of the new kids coaster as you're kind of gliding sort of past it. It's kind of slightly altered a bit, so obviously you're not going to pass through that section anymore. So what is the future plan for that section? Do they have an idea plan for that particular, part of it? Do they intend to fill it in at the top? Do they want to border it off and make it a brand new piece of theming at the top with some sound effects and try and make it a bit more of an immersive part of the area? I don't know what the plan is for that part of the attraction, but in terms of the original route of Squirrel Nutty / Get Set Go, it is the end of an era. New tracks already been put in. They are going to have to alter probably the last bit of track just to get it to steep in and level up. But for the original layout of the ride, it is a true end of an era. And don't get me wrong, as a theme park enthusiast and someone who likes to see all the attractions, not just the big thrill rides and the big extreme roller coasters, I do love experiencing the family rides and some of the kids rides, because even though it's not my target audience, you want to sort of step into their shoes, if you will, and sort of think, right, I'm a kid, what do I want to see, what do I want to hear, what do I want to feel, experience while I'm on this attraction or this experience. And I hope that Get Set Go remains as charmful as ever, because it is a charming kids ride. And when I was experiencing it as a kid as Squirrel Nutty, it was an incredible attraction, an incredible family attraction. So I don't think I ever got to do the pedal version of Squirrel Nutty. I don't think I ever got to do that, but it was still a wonderful ride and I really, really loved it. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it keeps that charm that it always has done. But now let's get into story number 2. But before we travel back to the UK, we have to travel across the pond to the United States to bring you news on a potential new attraction, potentially in the works, I've said potentially twice, for Busch Gardens Williamsburg in 2026. So via BGW fan sources, back in April 2025, we discovered that Colonel Pipeline Company was contracted for soil boring and environmental testing in the area between Nessie and San Marco, which also intersects near Pompeii. Survey documents show soil testing and marking of, quote, impervious areas roughly 24 feet wide, which is enough clearance for Nessie supports and potentially a double-track ride. Permits files and surveys depict a new walkway or bridge with space allocated for a potential ride, but there are no height waiver fillings, for example nothing over 60 feet, and no large support pylons noted, which suggests, for those of you who don't need the technical details, it suggests it's not a major roller coaster. BGW Fans survey mentioned a theming concept akin to antique European-style race cars on a gentle winding track, and Reddit speculation has suggested a nostalgic revival for Le Mans Raceway in terms of a revived Le Mans Raceway-inspired dueling ride, more like a downsized version of Radiator Springs Races with a bit more Italian flair, explaining the need for double tracking and side-by-side lanes. So from the permits and from everything we've discovered via BGW Fans, shout out to them. I'll leave their pages in the description along with Tower Street and every one of the sources involved in these stories today. But it seems very, very clear that we're going to get potentially what looks to be a tracked family attraction for 2026 at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. Now, BGW's had some fantastic years recently, some fantastic big years in terms of big investment. And I think a 2026 family ride is exactly what the park needs. They need that kind of fun for all attraction, something that gets the whole family involved. And I think when you look in that area that it could be located, I do think that area of the park just needs a bit of a refresh and a bit of a new lease of life. And I think that something like this is the perfect addition for that part of the park. Now, for those of you sat there thinking, Chall, Le Mans Raceway, what is Le Mans Raceway? I'll tell you exactly what Le Mans Raceway used to be back in the old days at the park. The original Le Mans Raceway attraction opened back in 1975, which coincided with the grand opening of the park altogether. It was a track-guided antique car experience built by Aerodynamics with, quote, flyer vehicles styled after early 20th century cars, specifically 1930 Stutz Bearcat replicas, and it featured 3 intertwined 2,000 feet circuits accommodating 49 vehicles. As one of Busch Gardens Williamsburg's inaugural attractions, it helped cement the park's family-friendly roots, and despite its removal, Le Mans remained a cherished memory amongst park veterans, frequently called on social forums as a unique experience that let you believe you were driving. Back in 2006, the ride shut down and was permanently removed, ready for the introduction of the high-octane thrills of Griffon, the park's Bolliger and Mabillard dive coaster, which opened back in 2007. But could Le Mans be making a return in a new lease of life? I guess time will tell. So let me know in the comments down below, what do you think about that particular piece of news? Because I think that a revived Le Mans Raceway type attraction with the double track, the side-by-side lanes, I think it all adds up to a potential track style ride similar to a Le Mans Raceway with a bit more of a modern twist. And obviously it won't be Le Mans as we used to see it and we used to know it. It would be a new version. It would be a completely new version of that, but it would pay homage in some way, shape or form in terms of ride type or any hints in the queue line or station building to the original Le Mans Raceway. So I think this could be a perfect addition for Busch Gardens Williamsburg. It pays homage to an old ride. It could be just the perfect attraction for that particular section of the park, and I think it's a type of ride that Busch Gardens have been kind of lacking in some regards in the family market for a few years now. So I think this could be the perfect addition. Of course, we can't confirm or deny anything at this stage. These are all just permits, filings, soil bearings, soil testing. It's only early stages of development as it stands. But of course, when more details get released, either by the park, BGW fans, any other sources, we will bring it to you here on the show, as well as construction updates as well. But let's get into our final story back in the UK from Thorpe Park Resort. And this one's kind of like not a new story, but this is an opportunity for me to talk about what's looking to be a 2026 project, and that is Project Pivot. So Project Pivot is a redevelopment of the much larger northern side of Amity Beach, and the Amity Beach Shack kiosk, 2 sheds, an electrical shed, hard landscaping and sand area will all be demolished for the development. The area is set to be transformed into a new plaza with a permanent stage covered by a 9.9 metre high frame with stretched fabric roof backed by a digital screen and line array speakers. The project also includes seated terraces designed to ensure accessibility with ramps to the southern end, 3 food and beverage kiosks, plus back of house spaces like kiosks and excellent landscaping including trees, bamboo, soft planting, themed artwork fences and sculptural features. Preparatory work began late 2024, early 2025, rerouting pumps, installing fences and building brickwork in tunnels around the beach, so we hopefully should expect heavy construction to begin soon if the timeline of a 2026 opening is to be met. So it looks like a permanent stage or events venue is set to be coming to Thorpe Park Resort 2026, maybe 2027 if it gets delayed any further. Obviously, I think planning at this stage, I believe, has already been approved, so it's looking very likely that 2026 will probably be the opening date for Project Pivot. Obviously, we'll know the main name sort of down the line if it is to be a 2026 edition for the park. I would like them to go with Thorpe Park Plaza or Thorpe Plaza, and it kind of gives a bit of a nod then to the Thorpe Park Arena as well. So, of course, you'll have the Thorpe Park Arena stage, or should I say Thorpe Park stage. I think Thorpe Plaza could be an incredible name for this. It could be a really nice way to bring entertainment and to bring that overall balance factor into the resort experience on a day-to-day basis. Obviously, for those of you who don't know what the Thorpe Park Arena is, I think the type of shows they're producing on there, they could do homages to that and some of the shows they used to put in the old arena. The old arena was such a fabulous addition to Thorpe Park Resort back in the day. It used to house high dive shows, it used to house extreme stunt shows, and what's the worst that can happen summer shows, and, you know, live concerts with people like Peter Andre in the past. Of course, down the line throughout the years, they hosted Fright Nights mazes, with the most recent one in the arena space before demolition was My Bloody Valentine. Of course, we all know that both the Chief Ranger Carousel and the arena was replaced with what became Darren Brown's Ghost Train, now known as Ghost Train. So the Thorpe Park Arena really held a special place in people's heart, and of course since the arena's demolition we've had shows and entertainment roaming around the park and in different places. We know Oktoberfest happened for a few years in and around that Ghost Train Plaza area, and there's some really good entertainment around there and good roaming characters, and it was a taste of what entertainment could be. I think despite the cuts to entertainment by Merlin Entertainment, obviously they've brought in an outside company to bring in the entertainment or versions of entertainment to the resorts. And for me, I would think that they will probably utilise the stage a lot more once Project Pivot's open. I think the outside entertainment companies will utilise that stage and utilise the rest of the park to roam about, etc. if they do plan on having outside company roaming characters. But of course, in terms of actual shows and stages and entertainment on an actual stage in one place, Project Pivot will be home to that and will be the primary home to that. So it's good to see, it's positive to see a permanent home for entertainment, a bit like when Alton Towers had the stage on the front lawns in front of the towers, or quite far away on the other side of the lake from the towers. And you have the Oktoberfest shows on there, some of the Scarefest entertainment on there, you know, different shows, etc. It's, you know, it kind of like a test almost. For me, it felt like a bit of a test to how a permanent stage would do. Because obviously the Alton Towers front lawn stage, you know, it looks fairly permanent, but we all know it's taken down and then put up again, etc. So it was kind of a bit of a test to see if a permanent stage in the ground would work. And I think that Project Pivot could be an example of how it will work for Thorpe Park Resorts. So big positives from me on that one. I think the Project Pivot, hopefully, fingers crossed, the heavy part of construction isn't delayed for too long, and we'll hopefully see Project Pivot open as soon as 2026 rolls around, because that is the planned opening date via the original planning documents and the plans that have been approved. So 2026, hopefully we'll get Project Pivot open and we'll see that permanent entertainment back at Thorpe Park Resort and one particular location on the stage. And of course, Fright Nights as well. We'll see Fright Nights entertainment on that stage as well. So there's plenty of good opportunities, plenty of good creative opportunities. Do I think it's the beginning of the end for Amity Beach? I think it could be, but we'll wait and find out. But thank you very much, guys, for watching yet another episode of Theme Park Newsroom. We'll be back for more episodes, of course, I'm sure, throughout the rest of the month and the rest of the season. Going into close season, we'll speak about all the upcoming attractions for future years. We'll do some prediction videos coming up from the likes of Drayton Manor, Dark Forest area, Alton Towers, and other parks around the world as well. So stay tuned for more of them. Of course, do you remember the old Next 5 Years series we used to have on the channel? Of course, this is like the kind of follow-on from that almost. And you never know, we might do some recap or some reaction videos to the old Next 5 Years. We'll kind of recap our predictions and kind of think, right, where were we? Were we right on the money? Were we off the scale wrong with some of the predictions? So there's plenty of content to look forward to over the next few months until the remainder of the season. But thank you very much, guys, for watching this. I am the CHALL, Dongster Bomb, built for Theme Park News. Keep living the coast life, and I'll see you guys in the next episode very, very soon. Take care. Have a thrill-tastic day. Ta-ra for now.